the 20th of May. And I would like to introduce the members of the energy regulator that will be deliberating on the regulatory matters today and take decisions. I'd like to start with myself. My name is Nomfundo Maseti. I am the member primarily responsible for gas, and I am chairing today's meeting. With me, I am joined by Advocate Nomalanga Sithole, who is the CEO and the member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee. I would like Advocate Sithole to greet so that they can recognize your voice when you speak.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to the members, NESA personnel, and all that have joined us for this particular meeting this morning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I would like to now introduce Mr. Willibrod Majola, who is the member primarily responsible for electricity and the member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee. Mr. Majola.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. Good morning to the team at NESA, and also a very good morning to all the public members that have joined us on various streaming platforms. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Majola. I would like to now introduce the member primarily responsible for petroleum pipelines, Mr. Muzuvukile Mkhize. Mr. Mkhize, if you can kindly greet.
Chairperson, fellow members of PGS, staff and management of NERSA, as well as the members of the public following us through the various live streaming platforms. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Masonganye. We don't have Madam Sbia. I don't have to introduce her. She's not in yet.
Not in, Chair.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much. With that, then, members, I would like to go straight to the adoption of the agenda. We do have the proposed agenda. Only one change that has been made in respect of item number 13 from the published agenda. That matter is a governance matter, and it will be discussed under governance matters or section of the meeting. So that is the only change that we have. With that, members, if we can kindly raise our hands to support the proposed agenda. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I support. Mr. Mkhize, are you in support of the proposed agenda? Thank you very much. All right, with that, then we go into the declaration of interest. The forms have been uploaded. Members, if you can be reminded to then complete the forms, submit them to the Secretariat. I would like to go straight to the substantive matters that we are required to deliberate on today for the decisions. Starting off with item number 5, the preliminary assessment of Transnet's multi-year tariff application. Please introduce the matter and emphasize, take it as read and emphasize the key issues that arise from this application.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be introducing the matter. Chair, just a quick point of correction. In the submission itself, 4.17, there's a where we're saying that there's an increase. It should actually be decrease in terms of the tariff itself. And then 4.18, it talks to an average tariff. The approximation of the tariff itself should be 9.8. And then, Chair, with regards to table 2, there's the table itself should be after the decimals. There should be four places after the decimals, but due to space, that was decreased. So when you tap the numbers by the calculator, they look a little different. It's just maybe on that's on table 2 and also table 5. I think, yeah, those are the only corrections, Chair, I'd just like to bring forward to the members. With that being said, Chair, good morning, Chair, and to the members and also staff. And in front of us, Chair, is it's Transnet's application, multi-year application for the period 1st April 2026 to March 2029. And the submission, Chair, is in front of this committee as delegated by by section 77.6 of the delegation matrix. And then, Chair, now with regards to the application itself, the application was received initially and on 12 December. Subsequently to that, there have been meetings with Transnet, one being 11th of February, and the final additional information was received on the 1st of April. Now, Chair, what Transnet is applying for in this submission, as I said, it's a multi-year application, and it's mainly driven by a clawback of 66.09, and also there's a significant increase in the operation expenditure, which is linked to the cost center rationalization project that they have embarked on. And also the other driver is the volumes of 15.5 million gigajoules. And the driver there is that there was a huge decrease in one of the suppliers, according to SASO on their side. And then, Chair, from a preliminary assessment perspective, there were concerns that were raised by the regulator, especially to the treatment of the cost center rationalization project that was embarked on. There was also issues with the clawback calculation, together with some few aspects such as REB and tax. And the preliminary view of NERSA was that the cost center rationalization project has not yet been assessed for prudency and efficiency. And therefore, we requested that they place that in abeyance pending a separate review of that project itself. And then, Chair, and then when you compare NERSA's assessment together with Transnet's assessment, the major or the material difference is mainly that, Chair. And if I'd say during the time of writing the discussion document itself, Transnet hadn't Transnet was requested initially to amend the tariff schedule, and so that they could revise these figures without including their cost rationalization project. And during the time of writing the discussion document, this was not, they hadn't sent the new schedule as yet. And then the actual, so hence the difference between the two calculation is as high. So we're saying that then the comparison at the moment is provisional, subsequent to us receiving the new schedule that they've provided. And then, Chair, lastly, I'd like to take members then to the recommendations, which is per number 14 on the submission. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, any comments input, guidance? By show of hands, members. Please go ahead, Mr. Mkhize.
Thanks, Chairperson. Thanks, Mr. Njezula. I'm a bit concerned with regard to the lack of the table that outlines the timelines. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. But because if I look at from the executive summary, that's the table, and I'm getting that this was the application was lodged, excuse me, on the 12th of December 2025, and we're on the 20th of May today. It's a bit concerning the time it has taken. I didn't get much regarding that. So it always helps to put the table to account for the time. And then on the document itself, on page 7 of 81, the green and stamped, there's this 4.16 where you're saying that the energy regulator has preliminarily not accepted the operating expenditure and claw back, as this is not compliant with the tariff guidelines. Then you go to on and explain why the operating expenditure was preliminarily not accepted. But then to some extent you talk of accepting it, some portions of it. And the same also goes with the clawback, because you're saying that the clawback is not compliant. Is it the principle of clawback that is not compliant? What? It's just confusing, because then on the last sentence, you're saying that these are, in addition, the clawback has been materially revised to exclude non-compliant components. These adjustments significantly lowered allowable revenue resulted in us assessing a much lower tariff of 9.86 per gigajoule, rents per gigajoule, as compared to the proposed 15.56 rents per gigajoule. So just the sentence is very confused. What actually transpired here? And in terms of the CCRP project, we're not apprised thereabout, even prior to lodgement of the application. What had you advised in respect of that? I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I don't see any other hand. Please provide responses.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start, Chair, with the timelines. Our apology, I think probably we should have maybe had a table there. I think just to explain, Chair, with regards to the timelines, the regulator he received all the information by the 1st of April. So between the time that we received the application up until we received the information, there were engagements, which also leads to the next question. And most of the engagements, Chair, was regarding this cost center rationalization. You'll see that what we say that the impact of that cost center rationalization was a price level of over 100% in terms of the tariff itself. And what basically happened there is that, Chair, according to Transnet, there was a court case that they lost, and that court case was regarding how their cost center was costed. So what they had to do, they had to do a cost center rationalization across the organization. So what happened is that so some of the costs that were from other businesses were were moved to the gas business and vice versa, as to show a proper costing to match basically the costing also to add to the revenue. So that exercise took place, and then the impact of it is this increase in tariff, and the regulator was not made aware of that. Hence, we requested that we actually have a look then on the actual how it was done, and also to assess prudency, and also to assess efficiency in terms of the cost center rationalization itself. So the impact on that was, as I said, Chair, this increase in the tariff of close to 100%, and that this then, during our conversations with Transnet, we requested then that because they remove that impact in the application subsequent to our approval of it. And what we have agreed on is that then what needs to happen is that the previous OPEX that was approved by the regulator, that be increased by inflation, so as to allow then the process to be independent of the cost center rationalization assessment project alone. So then when it comes to the clawback, what they did.
Please hold on. Before you get to the clawback, there's a hand from Advocate Stolle. Advocate Stolle.
Thank you, ma'am. Apologies for coming in late. Mine is based on the part of the submission that needs to be publicized for public comments, and in particular, question 9 on P30, where there's a question that's been set there for stakeholders to give input. And I just thought that maybe the question, the way it is crafted, Chairperson, it seems to give an indication that we're not sure as to whether the framework that we've used in the assessment is good or acceptable. And I thought that the framework, when it was developed, it was publicized and approved. And once approved, then we applied the way it is. Unless, if Chair, I'm missing something, I just wanted to get clarity on that particular question 9, because it seems to be indicating that we are not sure of the part of the component of our framework that relates to the RAB, the depreciation, the tax, because we are asking the public to give us a view as to whether it's reasonable or not. And I just thought that, as I have said, if we had developed the framework, we got input, and we are using it, we shouldn't really be appearing as if we're not sure as to whether what we have used is acceptable or not. And hence, we are asking views again from the public on that. Maybe it's the rephrasing. I'll think of a way in terms of how to rephrase it, but at this stage, I thought maybe I am reading it incorrectly before I formulate my own proposal on that particular question. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I hope you captured that. Please proceed with the clawback and the other clarity, and then this last question.
Thanks, Chair. With regards, as I said, to the clawback, Chair, is that the cost rationalization project itself was also implemented retrospectively. So that is where we requested that that be removed from the clawback. And then given that the process that we're embarking on when it comes to the assessment of that process or that project itself. And then the other issue that we had with the clawback was with regards to the time value of money itself, how it was implemented. There was an extra year that was added. So the time value of money was basically increased. So there was then further benefit to the applicant. So that adjustment was also requested on their side, that when they do send the schedule, that gets also amended. I think those were the only material issues, Chair, when it comes to those. Then with regards to question 9, Chair, I think we will amend that. I think it's not crafted in a way that that is clear. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. About the question to stakeholders that Advocate Sitole asked about.
Yes, Chair. I was saying we will either remove it, Chair, or but I think maybe the best will remove it. Thank you, Chair.
But there's something that we wanted to extract there from stakeholders. So you've got Mr. Ngumalo, you've got Ms. Makota here. They must look into that and come in and to make proposals as well on that question, apply themselves, because
Yes,
those matters we dealt with them. Advocate Sitole?
Chairperson, apologies for missing this one that I thought I would ask. I think Mr. Njezula indicated that there was an issue that is outstanding relating to the cost center rationalization project. And I just wanted to check in terms of the timeline. If I heard him, he indicated that there's still some engagement that is needed with the applicant. I just wanted to check if there are timelines in terms of that, such that when we get the comments on the public consultation process, we are able to really include that input into the proposal that will be made on the application. Chairperson, I just thought maybe that's the point that he can clarify for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njesa.
Yes, Chair. That's the goal, Chair. That we have actually been in contact with them, and subsequent to the meeting, they will be sending us their schedule, Chair, and then that will be included in the public consultation process.
Advocate Sitole, does it clarify your question?
Yes, it does, Chairperson. I just wanted them to highlight the linkage in terms of our processes on this particular application. I appreciate the response. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mkhize, I think they clarified, and then maybe what we can ask them is to insert a table to account for all of the time. We hear the back and forth, but as you say, just for transparency, I think maybe they can just insert that table just to account for the time period.
Yeah, I think the chairperson should, in responding to Mr. Njezula, it's not an option that we're talking about. It's a must. It's just that we're putting things in a polite manner. But the fact is, you need to have the table in. It's non-negotiable to account for the time. Even if you don't put the table in a particular format, but you need to account for the time. And then, because we're also looking at improving our efficiency and effectiveness. And I note the responses regarding the cost elements, but since this is still going for preliminary, I will let it go. It's going to, because the jury is still out. And then we'll have to peruse when it comes back. When you said that there's a time value of money is increased, I was not so sure whether you're saying the value is increased because of the time value of money. Because my understanding is that when it comes to the time value of money, it's measured in somehow work comes in there. So, but I take it that you meant that it increased because of the time value of money. And then under paragraph 4.20, and I think Madam Magoda also responded to that. May you please then improve when it comes to the final submission in terms of the timelines for the separate independent prudence assessment that you are going to be conducting, because there must be a balance of time, not taking too long to do these prudence assessments, and being clear as to when then the figures can be confirmed by way of that prudence assessment. I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for those areas of enhancement. Can we now then go to the recommendations? Just going to the page for recommendations. The PGS subcommittee is requested to note the preliminary assessment of the Transnet SOC Limited application for the multi-year tariff starting from 1st April up until 31st March 2029. It is attached here in Annexure A, that assessment. And then the second decision is to request the PGS subcommittee to approve the publication of the consultation document. Can we put it properly there? Because yes, it's a preliminary assessment, but we also, you said it is a discussion document on the preliminary assessment. So let us put it properly there. Just want to correct that confusion. So it is the discussion document on the preliminary assessment. Those are the two decisions, members, by show of hands, subject to the enhancements that have been suggested by the members, including the question that Advocate Sithole has requested that it be looked into, the rephrasing of that question to the stakeholders, insertion of the table or explanation on the to account for the time, and also those corrections that we pointed out on paragraph 4.17 as well as 4.18. With that, members, and table 2 as well. So I've clarified all the key corrections. Members, by show of hands, if you are in support. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I also support. Thank you very much, members. We're going to the next application or submission before us. This one is the report on the monitoring of compliance by Eliza Gas on its transmission tariff for the period March 2025 until February 2026. Please take the report as having been read and emphasize on the areas of compliance or non-compliance, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. This report is the monitoring of the implemented actual tariffs that is done on an annual basis, and the tariffs are tested against the approved tariff for the applicable period. Chair, the monitoring is in accordance with Section 4H and Section 2022 of the Gas Act. Chair, the licensee, Eliza Gas, was requested to provide facts and evidence to demonstrate that it had charged its customers transmission tariffs that are below or equal to the approved tariff for the period 1 March 2025 to 28 February 2026. Chair, on the 2nd of April 2026, NERSA received invoices and the schedule for actual tariffs that were charged by the licensee as evidence of compliance. And for compliance with Section 4H, Table 2 shows that the transmission tariff charged by, it shows that the tariffs that were charged by the licensee compared to the approved transmission tariff for the period under review. Table 2 shows that Eliza Gas complied with Section 4H of the Gas Act when it charged its customer tariffs that were below the approved transmission tariff of 18.27 rand per gigajoules for the period under review. Chair, Table 2 also shows that there is a notable gap between the approved maximum tariff and the actual tariff charged by the licensee in the period under review. Eliza Gas was requested to provide clarity on the discrepancy. Now, Chair, the licensee explained that the significant difference between the forecasted and the actual tariffs is due to there being a change in circumstances after the tariff had been approved, where the customer increased the size of its operation and associated gas volumes. Chair, the licensee and the customer engaged on the matter to find a tariff that was aligned and proportional to the new higher gas volumes, and also taking into account discounts that are associated with volumes. Now, the end outcome was therefore that this tariff, it mitigated costs to the customer while also ensuring that the pipeline remained commercially viable. Chair, NESA notes the explanation by the licensee, and the tariff will therefore still be subject to audits and the clawback give-back correction factor as per the tariff guidelines. Now, lastly, Chairperson, in terms of compliance with Section 22 of the Gas Act, which ensures that there is no discrimination between customers, the section in this case is not applicable since the licensee only has one customer. Chairperson, the recommendations are on page 7 of the submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. Any questions, comments by show of hands? Seems members, you are comfortable with the explanation given. Members, the decisions that are sought out on paragraph 14, the recommendations are that the pipe gas subcommittee notes that Elisa Gas complied with Section 4H of the Gas Act in terms of the tariff that it has charged its customer. And then secondly, there is no violation of Section 22 of the Gas Act when it implemented the tariffs. And that we note also that there's reduction from the maximum tariff that was allowed. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Oh, Mr. Mkhize, please go ahead.
Yeah, I do support the noting. I just wanted to maybe ask the team to assist in terms of putting these differences also in percentage terms, so that one can also see the extent. And would like to know if they've lodged a new application or not, seeing that this was it's for the period March 2025 to February 2026. Just want to know if they do have a new application that will be closer maybe to the circumstances as they are now on the ground, noting the increases in volumes. That is just that clarification I'd just like to know. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Please respond to the two questions. I think that question is on table 2, to improve on table 2, and then there's table 1 for the responses.
Thank you, Chairperson. Currently, there is no application that has been submitted by Elisa Gas. The current application is a multi-year. The current tariff that has been approved is a multi-year tariff until 2030. So currently, there is no new application that has been lodged by the licensee. And in terms of table 2, we will include the difference in percentage. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Make it clear to the member that they still covered in terms of us having approved the multi-year up to 2030. So I think it was 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, at the time when we approved it. So anything that happens, it will be a change maybe from their side, just like these changes that occurred, then they may just approach us on that one. So you need to put the right context for the member. Mr. Mkhize, are you comfortable with the issue of the the clarity with regards to application, and secondly, that the percentages on table 2 will be shown so that the difference is clear between the actual and the forecasted tariff.
I'm covered. Safe to say that they must also consider when there are certain maybe major changes as reason enough for some kind of reopener, if need be. They did not respond to that, but just something that they should just bear in mind. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. All right, members have already read out the recommendations subject to the percentages being inserted on table 2, just to show that difference. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support. Thank you very much, members. We move on to the next application, the next submission, which is item number 7, the report on 5-year assessment of the of all gas activities registered in terms of Section 28 of the Gas Act. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to members, colleagues, and members of the public. The purpose of this submission is to request Pipe Gas to note the 5-year assessment report of all registered gas activities in terms of Section 28. Before I continue with the presentation, Chair, I would like to draw attention to Figure 4, the decline reflected in 2024 volumes provided by Sosol is incorrect, and it's an error, and Sosol will be submitting the correct data. It has indicated that the correct volumes will be provided and updated accordingly. So in terms of Section 28 of the Gas Act, following gas activities are required to registered by NESA: gas production, gas importation, transmission for own use, and small biogas projects in rural communities. So since 2010, the energy regulator registered in total 155, which is the current total gas production, which include the production of facilities, gas importation activities, and transmission pipeline for own use and small-scale biogas. So under the gas production category, just to make it easy for us to classify, we have a small-scale biogas production and industrial-scale production, which includes biogas plants, methane-rich gas, natural gas, and coal bed methane. Yeah. So the current status of large-scale production facilities, we have 39 registered large-scale production facilities, where 24 are active, 10 are inactive, and 5 are pending. And mostly under the small scale, mostly remain, which also falls under the small-scale biogas projects, mostly remain inactive and or non-operational. And then under the gas importation, we've got 10 natural gas importation through the ROMCO pipeline, 6 LNG importation projects. So far, for gas that is imported through ROMCO pipeline, only 3 are operational or are active, which includes Sasol South Africa, Sasol Gas, and Kwande Gas. And it's for the transmission pipelines category or activity. 11 transmission pipelines are registered, and this remains the same as presented in the last financial year. So the number is still at 11. So out of the 155, only approximately 111 are no longer operational,
the small scale, due to the fact that the small scale productions take a larger cake out of all. So it is recommended that the pipe gas subcommittee to note the 5-year assessment report of all the registered gas activity. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Maluka. Anything to add on this submission or to emphasize before I allow members to come in? Mr. Nguma.
Thank you, Chairperson. I thought I'd just quickly add in relation to the reasons why those 11 that have been mentioned, or the 10, has not yet commenced operations. It's mainly due to basically challenges that they experienced. Others were related to funding. Others were related to the change in the feedstock that they were supposed to use to actually operationalize those activities. And others basically had challenges, I think, from the time that COVID hit, and they never recovered from that. I thought I'd just maybe just add that context in relation to the reasons why those others have not yet commenced operations, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. What about those that there were some that are no longer operating at all, apart from these the 11 or 10 that we're talking about, but there were some that were in Limpopo and the others, Kiani and all of that, and in other areas.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. I think Kiani was mainly that Lukhanyiso operation that with license. I think that one, in the main, basically is the one that was experiencing challenges with the feedstock that they were supposed to use to basically, feed those biogas operations to produce the gas. And others basically, experienced operational challenges with regard to just how to operate them. Was most of them, I think, Chairperson will remember that they were mainly located in households, so they experienced those challenges. What we have done is to basically ask the companies that help them to construct and develop those biogas digesters, to basically train them with regard to how they need to operate them, and to also assist them when it comes to just the availability of feedstock to basically feed into the biogas digesters. It's something that we'll monitor going forward, just to make sure that that assistance is provided, and that as many of them they can basically stay online in terms of just remaining operational. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo. I just wanted that picture to be completed for the purpose of the members to understand exactly what's happening. Members, by show of hands, if you have any questions of clarity, any suggestions. Please go ahead, Mr. Mkiza.
Thanks, Chairperson, and thanks to the presenter. When it comes to this table 1, I think maybe if we can just improve table 1 to the extent maybe of separating them, making them 3 sections of maybe working on a row basis instead of a column basis, in terms of what's active and inactive and uncertain operation. So that maybe you can even at the last column could talk to the maybe any reasons, or just shed some light so the table itself becomes more useful, instead of really going to the narrative. For example, you also talk here of the inactive ones. You include the Eskom Holdings Limited. That alone doesn't help. When one notes the size and vastness of geographical reach of Eskom Holdings Limited. So it would help. Then you can put some information that is actually more useful. And also, we need to be able to draw some conclusions in terms of what this means for us. What do we need to do differently? Where can we assist if need be in terms of playing our role in ensuring that these entities succeed? I will leave it at that. Otherwise, I must at the same time commend the team for the work done, because it takes something really to deal with that. Just to beef up some of the conclusions, not just to look at what these did, like they've done under paragraph 6.165 to 1.6 to 6.168, but to say what we from our side as a regulator, what should we do differently? But the work that is done is appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. I think these are enhancements, Mr. Ngumalo, unless there is something that you would like to respond to.
No, Chairperson, you are correct. There are indeed enhancements which will be effected. And I think, as Mr. Mkhize indicated, we'll just enhance it further by indicating what will be done from the regulator's side going forward with regard to just assistance to these operations. Thanks.
Thank you. But for the decision on table 1, you need to split those registered activities in terms of the ones that are active, that are operational, and those that are not operational, basically. And then, and as required by Rule 14, then you indicate the amount in gigajoules for those in terms of the production that is aligned and associated with those specific ones that are operational. I think that's what Mr. Mkhize is trying to say there. So separated them, classify them, and then split those entities or the facilities, and then I think there's one thing that you should have just added there in terms of the conclusions, because some of these entities were assisted by SANEDI. So maybe that's a point that you can take further to bring it further there when you do the monitoring of these registered activities, because they were assisted by SANEDI and they were at some point approached us at NERSA, indicating those that they were assisting, even the ones that are in KZN and the others that are in Limpopo. So if you can also just talk to that, at least something that NERSA could coordinate with SANEDI with regards to the funding aspect, for instance. I just wanted to emphasize that aspect since you have not mentioned it, and Mr. Mkhize is asking about what is it that perhaps we can do to assist. All right, with that, members, and subject to the corrections or to the enhancement of the table, as I have already indicated, members are then requested to note the 5-year assessment of the registered, the 5-year report on the assessment of all the registered gas operations or activities and production as well as imports. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I also support. Are you happy to support Advocate Sithole? Okay, we've got majority there. We can then move on to the next agenda item number 8 of the agenda. This is an update on the market risk premium as well as the risk-free rate calculations. Please take us through this submission.
Good morning, Chairperson, members and colleagues. I will start on the purpose. So the purpose of this submission is to request the Piped Gas Committee to note the updated risk-free rate and market risk premium year 2 are tagged and marked as Annexure A. And also to note that the updated risk premium and the risk-free rate will be published on the NERSA website. I will now move on to the background. So Section 4G of the Gas Act provides that the energy regulator must, as appropriate, regulate prices in terms of Section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act in the prescribed manner. On 8 June 2016, the PGS approved the quarterly publication and calculation of the MRP and RFR on the NERSA website. This submission is drafted in line with this decision of the PGS. I'll now talk to the purpose of the publishing of the MRP and the risk-free rate calculation. So the calculation and publication of the MRP and RFR are intended to address stakeholder requests for NERSA to publish this information on a quarterly basis to ensure consistency in the calculation of the risk-free rate and the MRP. Licenses use the MRP and RFR in cost of equity calculation when calculating the tariffs in terms of the tariff guidelines and maximum prices of gas in terms of the methodology. I'll now move on to talk to the MRP and the RFR movements between the two quarters. So under table 2, under paragraph 4.10, provides a summary of the calculation of the MRP and the RFR for the quarters ending 31 December 2025 and 31 March 2026. So on the table, you will see that the comparison between the two quarters shows that the MRP increased by 2.79% from the 4.98% recorded for the quarter ended 31 December 2025. The RFR increased by 0.46%. Chairperson, I will now move on to the recommendation section. I'll refer you to paragraph 14 of this submission where you will read the recommendations. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, members. Any questions of clarity? Mr. Mkhize, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm still not entirely convinced, but it's for RSU to consider this. I'm still not entirely convinced that at subcommittee level we should be grappling or engaging on this. Maybe let's consider the issue of what we call it an instruction, and we deal with maybe some of the things that are extracted out of it that are more, maybe I've got some element of strategic consideration therein, as well as maybe if there are any changes in how we dealing with this item or these forecasts. And other matters related thereto that are more of a strategic, forward-looking nature. Thank you. But I will note anyway here now. But as I said, I don't think that we should be really finding ourselves having to have this table before us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. I don't know if RSU, you want to come in, but what I can say is that this matter was already delegated as an instruction by the ER to the FTRM, so it's done on a monthly basis, but then just like all the standing instructions, on a quarterly basis, matters must come to the committee. That's the proviso there, so that they say it's not taken completely outside of the purview of the energy regulator, just to report and show that these things have been done and all of that. I think this one, because it's a quarterly report, is different from that monthly one. it has been signed off, and then it comes as a quarterly submission. But RSU, if you can please come in, maybe provide or enhance the clarification.
Chairperson, good morning. I think it's okay, but maybe when we do some amendments to the PGS election metrics, we can actually try to cater for the 3 months, because it's, as we have said, it's coming from the monthly ones, which is actually okay in terms of the terms of reference. But it's okay, Chairperson. We are fine with that.
Okay, Mr. Mkhize, they will look into it. Are you happy with that, Mr. Mkhize?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Members, just on paragraph 4.2, if you can just note that it will be enhanced to include section 4G, which is the tariffs. There's just that mistake there. We dealt with it in the entire submission, the tariffs as well as the pricing, but they have not cited section 4G for the tariffs, and then that's section 4H for the tariffs, and then section 4G read with section 21(1)P, which is already there, and read with regulation 4.4 for this one. Yeah, if that can be included, just to complete the basis for it. With that, members, the recommendations have been read out. It is to note the quarterly calculations of the market risk premium, as well as the free, the risk-free rate, both of which are important for the tariff calculation in terms of the work, as well as for the maximum price, the trading aspect of that. By show of hands, members, if you can show that you support. Thank you, Mr. Majola, Mr. Mkhize, thank you. I also support it. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. The item 8 is dealt with. We are now on item number 9, which is the confirmation of the approval of the round robin on the explanatory note on the use of the cost plus option that is already in the methodology for the approval of maximum prices, that it can also be used for the liquefied natural gas, LNG in short. This is the round robin, members. Show of hands. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Oh, sorry, Mr. Mkhize. You support the all right. Thank you. All right, members. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mr. Majola. I also support. Mr. Mkhize, there's something that you wrote, but I'm not saying that. Say it loud. I will check it quickly. I couldn't see. I couldn't read all of it. I'll have a look at it. Members are moving
asking to be excused to us for a few minutes, but I've indicated the time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. All right. Item number 10, the preliminary assessment of ROMCO's application for its transmission tariff. Please introduce the matter.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Chairperson, members and members of the public. The purpose of this report is to request the PGS to note the preliminary assessment of the ROMCO multi-year transmission tariff application for the years FY27 to FY29 and approve the publication of the discussion document regarding the multi-year tariff application for FY27 to FY29 as attached as Annexure A. Chair, this application is for a tariff for a 3-year period from 1 July 2026 to 30 June 2029. However, because ROMCO's current license is set to expire on 25 March 2029, the assessment of the application has therefore been limited to the period of validity of the license, which is 25 March 2029. Chair, the application is for a tariff of 64 Rand and 68 cents per gigajoule for the period FY26-27. ROMCO also requested a maximum tariff of 75 Rand and 14 cents per gigajoule
in order to conduct its tariff structuring. Chair, these tariffs will be escalated by inflation twice on 1 July 2027 and 2028. Table 1 on page 4 compares the tariffs calculated by NERSA with those calculated by ROMCO from FY 2017 to FY 2029. The ROMCO tariffs, Chair, are on average 7.9% higher than the NERSA tariffs for the period FY 27 to FY 29. Chair, the noticeable difference is primarily due to the tax calculation as well as the volumes used. Chair, ROMCO indicated in the application that it has not always received the shortfall in revenue from Sasol gas via the ship or pay clause. As such, ROMCO would like to adjust the volumes for future periods by reducing the volumes attributed to Sasol gas as shown on table 2 and 3 on page 4. Chair, NERSA has noted the challenges regarding the gas cliff in the application, and it will engage ROMCO during the consultation period and request it to submit its gas volume growth plan to assess the utilization of the loop line 2 and to monitor the allocation of gas volumes across the GTA agreements. Having said this, Chair, in the assessment, NERSA was consistent and used the same volumes as those communicated by ROMCO in previous periods or previous applications. Chair, the other significant difference is in the tax treatment. NERSA followed the tariff guidelines and calculated the tax expense using the flow-through approach, whilst ROMCO used the normalized tax approach. Chair, table 4 on page 5 shows the difference between NERSA and the ROMCO tax calculation. Chair, despite the noted differences in the volumes and the tax calculation, it has been common practice that to accept differences that are less than 10% when approving tariffs. Chair, it is important for members to note that as part of this Loop Line 2 application, ROMCO has included a tariff structuring application. This part of the application includes all volumes shipped to South Africa as well as the tariffs and revenues approved separately from the Loop Line 2 application. Chair, ROMCO proposes a tariff of 24.13 per gigajoule on all volumes shipped from the CPF to the PPS in Secunda, other than the volumes transported by for Sasol gas under this GTA3 tariff application. ROMCO has also proposed the distance differentiated tariff of 13.27 per gigajoule for volumes shipped from the Rassano Gracia to the PPS in Secunda. Chair, this will result in a maximum tariff of 75.14 per gigajoule, and that will be charged on volumes shipped for Sasol gas under the GTA3. Chair, NERSA assessment of this tariff structuring noted that the maximum tariff is influenced by GTA1 and GTA2 tariffs, and it is not part of the, or is not a Loop Line 2 calculation on a standalone basis. Therefore, Chair, NERSA agrees with the principle of having one tariff. However, it must be based on a pooled regulated asset base for all the GTAs. Then this tariff structuring would not be an issue, Chair. Chair, our recommendations are on paragraph 14 on page 7. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions, clarity, guidance? By show of hands, members. Please go ahead, Mr. Mkhize.
Thanks. I note these differences between NERSA and ROMCO. But for me, I'd just like to know, I hear you presenting and saying you want to talk about increases in gas volumes, whilst at the same time we find ourselves talking about the gas cliff. how do these two, gel, so to say? Thank you. Just want to know how the two aspects, can be seen as being mutually inclusive. In other words, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Please respond.
Thank you, Chair, for that. So our intention, Chair, is that we are aware that there would be a gas cliff that is anticipated to commence around 2028. However, what we seek to engage ROMCO on is what has been the plan to ensure that the current capacity or utilization of the pipeline is in line with the volumes that they had indicated would be used on the pipeline. So we are trying to get to a point where we have an understanding of what was the initial plan for them to utilize the capacity that was brought to the energy regulator as the basis for the application to construct the loop line 2 pipeline. However, I can also allow my colleague Samuel to come in, Chair.
Mr. Kotara?
Chair, we have also received a few requests or approaches from other companies that would like to bring in LNG via the Maputo port, and they would all want to use the ROMCO line. So we are actually considering some of those considerations. We are of the view that we can ask ROMCO if any of those have yet approached them, and whether it's too early to consider that as part of a volume growth profile. But as it stands, Chair, there is a take or pay with SASO, which they submitted to us, and that take or pay is meant to last until 2029. So we were reluctant to reduce the SASO gases volumes on the basis of this take or pay. So in our assessment, Chair, we used the 7.8 million that they applied from the first time they applied for this tariff. So we did not change that, Chair. But to just ensure we complete our diligence, we will engage with ROMCO on the basis of those LNG players that want to use the Maputo port. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other input here? But I think it must be very clear on this one. Remember that the capacity of this one is 24 million gigajoules. So they're only utilizing 8 million gigajoules. So before they were licensed, even in Mozambique, once they start building these things, they always require field development plan so that they understand why they will have to undertake this activity. So as the infrastructure company, it must ensure and satisfy the regulator that it must that it will utilize this infrastructure and the capacity optimally. At the moment, it is not utilized optimally, and that's why the tariff is very high. And it is correct the question that is asked by Mr. Mkhize, because it's something that is supposed to be responded to from the basis of ensuring the utilization of the spare capacity that is there, since it is 24 million gigajoules, but only 8 million gigajoules that are going through that pipeline at the moment. So it must account to the regulator in terms of the time horizon for utilization of that sort of excess or spare capacity. And then and also the fact that at the time of putting that asset for prudency purposes, knowing that it has to ramp up and utilize that, so it needs to come back and satisfy the regulator as to how it's going to deal with that aspect. Otherwise, the tariff, it can't be at these levels for too long, and there's no take up of that capacity. I think from our side, it's just that enforcement. But just to also give members a comfort, the team, I think from GLC must come in with regards on to the issue of the license that is up to 2029 and the other developments that are actually taking place in Mozambique, so that this licensee must then tell us what is it that it is doing to make sure that this infrastructure and the capacity is optimally utilized. I think that's what they need to do from the compliance side, and also just checking the activities and the license that is up to 2029. What happens afterwards? Thank you very much, members. Mr. Mkhize, are you covered?
Covered.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Members, two decisions that are required from your side. One is to note the preliminary assessment that is in Annexure A as a discussion document for stakeholders to engage with this application. Secondly, it is then to approve the publication of this discussion document on the preliminary assessment. Those are the two members. By show of hands, if you can indicate your support. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, and thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you very much, members. That takes care of item number 10 of the agenda. The second, the next item is phase 1 report on the review of the on the review of the methodology. Mr. Ngumal, is this matter? Yeah. Mr. Ngumal.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think Mr. Njezula is going to introduce the subject. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to highlight regarding the title, but essentially this is basically just a submission that deals with phase 1 of the review of the methodology to approve maximum prices of gas. I think maybe just to make that correction, we can delete that report. It's a report on phase 1 regarding the review of the methodology to approve maximum prices of gas. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, may we ask? Yes, may we ask Mr. Njezula to summarize the submission?
Thank you, Chair. The submission in front of us, Chair, is Mr. Ngamala has said, it's a phase 1 report on the review of the maximum price methodology. And Chair, this matter is in front of the committee as per section 7.6 of the delegation matrix. And then, Chair, just, I'll take the matter as read. And then just to highlight a few issues regarding the review itself, Chair. And then from a context perspective, Chair, the Gas Act requires the regulator under inadequate competition, and then it requires price regulation under inadequate competition. And that, Chair, when it comes to the market itself, what the outcomes is that currently the market is highly concentrated with a vertically integrated player, and that there are supply constraints. Then given that, Chair, the realities are that structurally there's a dominant supplier which is with a limited alternative supply, and there's weak competitive discipline within the market. And then what this says, Chair, is that from a competition perspective, we see that in the medium to short term, this will not change much. And then from a current methodology perspective, Chair, the methodology itself, it's a cost plus methodology that is currently being used, and that this methodology consists of a cost of gas plus a trading cost plus a profit margin. And that the strengths then, or the benefits of this methodology, is that it increases transparency, as well as it has a cost reflective element to it. However, Chair, there are some risks, critical limitations with it. One being the weak cost verification, and also from a cost symmetry perspective. There's also limitations when it comes to the transfer pricing risks, as well as incentives for cost reduction. So it incentivizes cost inflation more. And then, Chair, then what we're saying is that the cost plus is necessary, but it's not sufficient. It's in itself. And then when it comes then, Chair, if we'd try and from a regulatory problem perspective, and also highlighting the key risks which are core, it's that the market power is still, there's a risk that the market power would be entrenched in the current methodology. There's also cost inflation risks, as well as with regards from a MRG pricing perspective, given that there is no benchmark, there is also that risk there, Chair. And then from an LNG pricing perspective, there's also that volatility risk that is there. And then there's also legal vulnerability within the methodology itself, Chair. And then, Chair, with regards to the phase one conclusions, Chair, I'll just quickly summarize them. The maximum price the maximum price itself remains structurally necessary, and that the methodology needs to be strengthened. And then what is required then from phase two is that there will be stronger verifications and prudency rules, and also explicit market power constraints, MRG specific pricing framework, together with an LNG pricing and volatility mechanism. And also, there should also be a modular transition-based approach as well that is being advocated for, Chair. And then the decision sought, Chair, is as per paragraph 14. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity by show of hands? By show of hands, members, if you have any questions. If not, members, I would like to just, on the recommendations, to remove that last recommendation where it says that's approve staff to conduct workshops. I think that it can be collapsed to the preceding paragraph, the preceding recommendation, because it's going out for public comment. So workshops can be part of that. With that, members, are you happy then to support? By show of hands, members. Thank you, Advocate Sitole. I support. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you very much, members. Members, we're moving on to the next item. the next item is item number 12, which is Sasol Gas's application for the approval of maximum gas prices. Please introduce this matter.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take the members through this matter as well, Chair. Chair, before us, Chair, is Sasol Gas's application for the period 1st July 2026 to 30 June 2030. So, Chair, this is a multi-application for Sasol Gas. So it's a multi-application for the maximum price of Sasol Gas, Chair. And Chair, this is in front of the committee, given the delegation matrix 7.6. And that, Chair, then from a background perspective, Chair, NERSA received the application on the 4th of February, and subsequently to discussions with Sasol, and also regarding outstanding information that was requested. All the information was received on the 16th of April. So the 16th of April is seen as an official date of receipt of the application itself. Now, Chair, from the application itself, Sasol submits that the pipeline gas market faces an impending gassing or supply shortage, which is commonly called the gas cliff, Chair. And that, Chair, in Sasol's what Sasol basically is applying for, Chair, is that, or they're saying that natural gas from Mozambique, the reserves are declining, and that there is a gap that will soon be that is expected from July 2028. And Sasol is proposing that an MRG project from 2028 to June 2030 that they will embark on, that will balance the supply continuity. And although there's a challenge from an affordability and also from a cost recovery perspective. And then, Chair, what Sasol is also asking for, Chair, is that for quota, the application itself, it's a multi-year framework. They're asking for a multi-year framework that is quarterly adjusted, and that the trading cost and EBITDA margins are not missing in FY27. However, going forward, they have requested that the trading margin together with the EBITDA be looked at, or that they submit yearly applications so that the regulator would make a decision on them. So that is the major difference in this application, Chair, given that it's a multi-year application. And then, Chair, when it comes then to the differences between the NERSA and Sasol calculation, there is no differences in terms of the cost acquisition cost. However, from a trading cost and a profit margin perspective, this is where NERSA, there were differences, and these differences were driven mainly by in the trading cost perspective, it was on the clawback, and also in terms of the unaccounted for gas. And then when it comes to the profit margin itself, the regulator sees that, or there is the risk that when it comes to the MRG, there might be double counting there, given that there might be risks of opportunity costs in the costing of the MRG itself. So those were the two differences in the calculation, but the differences amount to 4.03% cumulatively. And then, Chair, with regards to the major issues from the application, is that from the MRG cost is obviously more expensive than natural gas, and from a SASO perspective, they perceive, or they perceive, or they require this be a pass through. However, the regulator has said that we need to assess because what they've on SASO side, they've said that there are some investments that would be embarked upon to actually get this MRG to actually flow. And we require more information as to the costs, the investment costs that would make the increase in production of the MRG itself. As we've also said that there is a risk of double counting, given that there are some elements of opportunity costs in the MRG. And also there's also a margin as well, and opportunity cost and margin. We see them as being both associated with a profit element to them. So we think that if then there's this opportunity cost, it needs then to either be removed, or else there needs to be some adjustments in terms of the margin itself. There's also risks, Chair, with regards to the volumes itself, because if you look at the volumes over the entire period, there is a decrease in the volumes. And there's also, in terms of the customers that are affected, we understand that there's differentiations in terms of from a customer perspective, given that some customers are intensive gas users relative to others. There is no clear allocation as to over that term what would happen in terms of, or how would the shortfall be allocated as far as this over the next periods. And then there's also the risk to the multi-year approval system that is being sought, Chair. That's also obviously from a SASO perspective, they need certainty for investment perspective. However, the regulator also requires flexibility given the future changes that might materially arise. And then there is also going forward, if you look in the later years, higher prices that might affect end users, and also which might cause also barriers to entry and countervailing powers as well. Chair, with that being said, Chair, in closing, the recommendations are as per number 14. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me allow members to weigh in. Members, by show of hands, if you have questions of clarity on this submission. By show of hands, members, if you do. Please go ahead, Advocate Stole.
Thank you to Mr. Jesudo for the presentation. Chair, mine are points of clarity. I think I heard him talking of the risk of double counting in terms of this particular application, and I just wanted to check if the team is confident that the measures or the proposal that he mentioned, I didn't quite write it down, or write them down, will deal with this risk, or it will minimize the risk occurring. And if they're confident, I think this is quite important because it will assist the regulator in the assessment of the application. And the second point that I wanted to highlight, Chairperson, was on paragraph 418. I think that paragraph could be better captured, Chairperson, and remove the part that says that the FTRM requested the team to be prepared to explain the rationale for the non-submission of trading costs and EBITDA. So for me, I thought it could have been phrased in a better manner to not make it as if they were forced to just provide that application. They should have indicated that with regard to the trading costs and EBITDA together with the maximum price, it should be noted that, continuous sentence in that particular manner, as opposed to how it is being written. It should give the reader the impression that this was something that needed to be covered, and not necessarily that it was, imposed on them to state it as it has been done in that paragraph. So paragraph 4.18 for me could be rephrased in a better manner. Chair, those were just my 2 points that I wanted to raise as an input on this particular submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I see no other hand from the members. Please remove the comment that I made when I engaged with the submission and looking at the risk and the fact that Sasol has not yet submitted the EBITDA, which is used for calculation of the profit margin. Because I asked if those things are going to come in a fragmented manner, why should they come? Because I just asked at the time of engaging with the submission, you can't put that, something that I'm guiding you on, and why this, and you must also be prepared. I'm approving subject to you. So don't put it like that, please. I think it's good that you picked that up, Advocate Sithole, because I approved the submission and have written there that they must do it. It's approved subject to them clarifying that issue of the trading margin or trading cost, as well as the profit margin, which is calculated based on determination of the EBITDA. So that those are the 2 things that were not there. I said they must be prepared to explain why Sasol has not done that. Please respond, Mr. Njezula, to the questions.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies, we'll definitely remove that, Chair, on 4.18. And then with regards to the double counting risk, Chair, what we're saying is that the risk is purely at a profit component level, where Sasol, from an MRG perspective, has included an opportunity cost for the MRG itself. So what we're saying there, Chair, is that both premiums that they address the similar issues, and that then we need to adjust one or the other so as to give a reasonable outcome, Chair. So that is the double counting risk that was identified. So what we, on our assessment, we haven't done anything to actually the acquisition costs. However, we have it was an adjustment that we're proposing on the margin itself, so as to make sure that that double counting doesn't take place. I hope I'm a bit clear. I think Mr. Kotora wanted to also come in.
Mr. Kotora, please come in, but also, guys, explain this properly, because the MRG price, yes, you've touched on the pass-through, which of course we can't take it as a pass-through, it's correct, but it's not a firm position because we are still engaging. Just clarify so that members can understand this, because these are tranches of different sources of gas. And we will expect that obviously there could be some monopoly power that is being displayed here, given the fact that now we're getting into the gas cliff. If there's going to be the time where the suppliers come in and say, I've got something for you. Now that you are put in a corner, you need this. Otherwise, the economic implications will be worse. So there's that situation that obviously we are faced with. So please touch properly on this, because the MRG, we've always been charging a price for the MRG. It never increased, even when we were charging a price for natural gas coming from Mozambique. It was combined, it was charged the same. Now, when it's expanded, the price has gone up significantly. And unfortunately, the timing of it is this one. So please clarify to the members properly that issue of double counting, because you don't get to it as Advocate Sithole asked. Firstly, it's on the basis of opportunity cost. Clarify that. Secondly, it is on the basis that the very same, what you call there are costs relating to, well, this is the gas that is produced from the same what is it? Coal gasification infrastructure. And if there's no capital cost, why then? For instance, the question that is important is the question around whether these costs that are being claimed are already being recovered through illiquid fuels, as we know, chemicals, and the electricity that is produced in Secunda, for instance, the steam or other Sasol operations. So if some of these costs, they are now being lumped into this one, that's where the double counting will be. So there will be double recovered that we need to ask questions about. Please, Samuel, I didn't want to take time, but I wanted answers to be very straightforward to the questions that have been asked. Go ahead, Samuel.
Thank you, Chair. Without repeating some of the issues raised, the double counting has been excluded or has been dealt with by not adding a margin to the MRG. So a margin or the profit component was added on the natural gas and on the fuel gas, but not on the MRG, subject to the consultation process that is going to unfold. Chair, the reasons you have already raised them to say MRG was priced at a certain level all along, and it has changed from January 2026. Saso said it had a onerous contract all along, and such that it was paying, or it was being charged, a price that was below cost for MRG. So they are now saying the MRG is now cost reflective, some 12 to 14 years after they were paying for it. They have realized only now that it is no longer, it was below cost. So in this consultation stage, we have not added a separate profit component on the MRG, because they've indicated that they themselves have an opportunity cost that they have included in the MRG. The quantum was not shown. So in our view, we would want this consultation process to reveal all those things. So, so to move forward, we excluded any profit component from the MRG, Chair. I also just wanted to touch a bit on the two other issues. Sasol applied for the profit and trading cost, Chair. On the trading cost, they actually applied for a lower trading cost. They stated that they over-recovered on the trading cost and they've decreased it. I think it was about 4 rand. Now they're applying for about 1.56 rand. Apologies, Chair, I don't have my document open. And the profit component, they used our methodology. So in the submission, not in the consultation document, but in the submission, there was not much detail provided over those two components because we are largely aligned with the assessment they provided us, and there is a lot that we needed to bring out, particularly on the cost of MRG. That's why you see maybe it was not included as part of maybe the submission. The last issue, Chair, that we would want to highlight for consultation is the period of the maximum price. Sasol has applied for a 4-year from FY27 to FY30. We as NESA prefer a shorter period, although we have not recommended a specific period in this application. We want stakeholders to also provide us with their views, but also we would want Sasol to engage with them further. Amongst the issues, Chair, when we first were taken to court by the GUG, if you remember, Chair, there was an accusation that we put the cart before the horse, in the sense that we were supposed to do an inadequate competition, and whatever comes out from the inadequate competition study should inform what happens to the prices. So the current inadequate competition states that it's valid until FY28, Chair. So by March 2028, we have to have conducted another adequate competition study. And those recommendations are supposed to influence the maximum price. So it's one of those issues where we don't want to err legally or to at least repeat some of the issues that were raised when we were taken to court, but we have not recommended any period. We want to engage during the consultation period some of these issues, and they have been included as questions so that Sasol itself can give us its legal view whether it still thinks a 4-year application would still be the best approach. I think those are the two additions, Chair, that I wanted to raise for the members, Chair. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kotora, for that explanation. Let me check if there are any further questions. Advocate Stoller.
Sorry, I was talking to a muted mic. Chairperson, I just wanted to come in on the issue of the period of the 4 years that has been requested by the licensee. And I heard Mr. Kotora saying that we have not made any recommendation at all as NESA on this particular issue. So we are just waiting to hear proposals coming from stakeholders. I just thought that probably we also need to be proactive on the NESA side by really looking at this particular proposal and have a preliminary position, and also take into account some of the things that we have not anticipated or that we anticipate to happen during the 4-year period, and also see if those can be used as reopeners or additional matters to be considered within any of the 4-year period, than for us to really rely on an external parties. I just believe that we should have a preliminary position as the regulator, covering some of the points that he mentioned about inadequate competition, which in now will be done in 2028, and that the results of that a process will have to be taken into account in how we deal with some of the tariff applications. So I just thought, just as a matter of guidance, is that let's just not rely on external parties. We also need to do our own assessment and have a preliminary position that will be informed, but by what we will be getting from the stakeholders. So our position and stakeholders' input can also lead us into a position that could be considered by the regulator. Chair, that is just my contribution on the point, on the issue of the period. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Advocate Sithole. Ms. Makota, if you may step in, maybe Ms. Advocate Sithole, that for now, would it satisfy you to, because if that can be put as a question to say that, you know, say if NERSA allows a 3-year or 4 years, this could be the likely unintended consequence. Will stakeholders agree with this, and what will be their input? Something like a question that we put to stakeholders. Okay, all right, I see. So if the team, if you can kindly then get to that part of the duration, the period for this, and point out what are some of the implications of having a longer period as opposed to a shorter period, but just to also to strike the balance between certainty on the side of SASOL, as well as protecting the market from a perspective of a security of supply, which is quite key during the next 3-4 years or so. So if you can keep those key issues into consideration in putting the questions for issues of certainty, regulatory certainty, but also ensuring that customers are not going to be locked in to a higher price, and also that the issue of security of supply to customers. So is that you know, balancing exercise that we need to navigate. All right, if that is fine, Advocate Sithole, I think the team, if you can please deal with those aspects and also just improve in the way that you phrased, the questions are phrased there, so that stakeholders can have an opportunity to deal with a number of things on this. All right, with that, then subject to these enhancements, there are 2 decisions that are requested. One is to note the preliminary assessment of the SASOL's application, multi-year applications for a maximum gas price. And that is in Annexure A. And then the second one is to approve the publication of the discussion document that deals with the preliminary assessment of the SASOL's multi-year maximum price application. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of these 2 decisions that are sought subject to the enhancements. Thank you, Mr. Majola. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support. Thank you very much, members. At this point, I'm going to item number 14, members. As we indicated, item 13 is for governance. Please take us through item number 14.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, members. This submission presents the outcomes of NERSA's internal research on LNG importation and procurement options for South Africa. The research was initiated following the approval of the NERSA gas strategy in 2025, which, among others, priorities identified LNG as a medium-term solution to address the structural decline in gas supply from Mozambique, and highlighted the need for developing an LNG importation strategy to overcome key barriers to the introduction of LNG in the South African market. So in terms of scope and purpose and scope of the research, Chair, it provides an evidence-based foundation to inform South Africa's strategic entry into the global LNG market. It also highlights the critical considerations required to develop an effective LNG importation framework for the country, including infrastructure selection, commercial structuring, procurement models, and risk factors associated with LNG import dependence and mitigation strategies. Just to expand on that, Chairperson, on these different options. In terms of infrastructure options, the report or the research looked at onshore LNG terminals, floating and storage and regasification units, which is commonly known as FSRUs, and the small-scale LNG solution. And then in terms of the commercial models, we looked at the integrated tolling and merchant structuring of these projects. And also on the procurement approaches, we looked at the aggregation versus the decentralized models, which deals with the centralization and decentralizations of the gas demand. So the analysis also looked at the suitability of each of these options or models or procurement approaches, particularly in relation to different stages of LNG market development, looking at it from the South African context. In addition, Chairperson, we also looked at the international experience to review and understand how LNG markets have been successfully developed elsewhere. And the key insights from this research shows that a successful entry into the LNG market typically requires the centralized models, which is the demand aggregation, also using the use of long-term supply contracts, particularly in the early stages, to anchor supply and support financing of early infrastructure needs. And also the rapid development or deployment of infrastructure. The FSRU has emerged as the most common appropriate solution during early market development stages, not to say that others don't actually look at the fixed terminals they do, but the FSRU, it's much more appropriate, particularly in a market like South Africa, where the LNG market is non-existent. And then we also looked at the practical implications of these research outcomes or findings in the context of alignment with the current initiatives such as the ZET LNG project in Richards Bay. If you look at page 16 of the submission, Chairperson, we outline the practical implications of that. And what we have discovered is that the ZET project is progressing and demonstrating several key features aligned with the research findings, but it reflects a mid-term recommended policy trajectory. So, which means that in order for this project to materialize, there are certain things like strategic interventions from the policy and regulatory perspectives that need to be introduced or to make this project viable and materialize for it to sort of like support or effectively contribute to addressing the national gas supply constraints and also enable long-term market development. And these key interventions included the implementation of demand aggregation mechanisms, the one that I've just mentioned above, and also the finalization of the gas bill to address the regulatory gaps that are there, like the regulated third-party access at LNG import terminals. The current Gas Act does not cover that. Also, the regulation of regasification tariffs, which are currently explicitly not provided for also in the Gas Act. And another key element that is actually required as a strategic intervention is the coordinated energy system blending, which will look at the whole concept of gas to power projects and how that can actually be planned appropriately to support both power generation and also the development of the gas industry. The recommendations, Chairperson, are on page 5. We are requesting the PGS to note the research report, which is on Annexure 2, and also the policy brief, which was distilled from or synthesized from the research report. We have presented that in Annexure 1. And also we're requesting the PGS to approve that the policy brief be submitted to the Department of electricity and energy. And the whole purpose of submitting it there, we just wanted to serve as a technical advisory input to the work that they are currently doing on the gas master plan and also on the gas bill. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Khoza. Members, any questions of clarity? I note your hand, Mr. Majola. Maybe I can start with you. Any questions of clarity and your support for the submission? And then I'll go to Advocate Sithole. Mr. Macholo, your hand is up.
Apologies, Chair. It's a lingering hand. Apologies.
Okay, all right. Advocate Sithole.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity, and thanks to Ms. Koza for the presentation. It is an interesting report to read, and I just thought that maybe what we could do, I've noted that there is a recommendation, and she also mentioned it, that the report be shared with the department. I just thought that maybe we should also try and have a face-to-face engagement with the department, because I think there's been a report that has been written based on the research that she has done that was submitted to the department, and we haven't had any feedback or any information rather on what has happened to those particular reports. So probably adding a face-to-face meeting with the team that is dealing with the gas master plan, that will really add value in my view. Chair, one other point the point that I just have is in terms of the finding, I did not pick up in the report how these findings are impacting on our current regulatory mandate or any of our tools or frameworks that we have. And if the findings do impact on us, maybe that should have been highlighted in the report, unless if it is, and I did not pick that up. The only thing that I've noted is under the recommendations on page 14, where there's a recommendation that it is under policy options. And it states that the regulatory and commercial framework for future hybrid market participants needs to be developed. So I noted that one, but I just couldn't really itemize all the recommendations that are based on the findings in terms of our current regulatory mandate and processes. So, Chair, that's the clarity that I wanted to get from her. If not, that could be considered as a point of enhancements in the report. Thank you, Chair. But otherwise, I do support the report. It's well written, and as I said, it is interesting to read. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Advocate Sithole. Ms. Koza, may you please clarify?
I will take it as an enhancement, Chairperson, but just to highlight that what I've done, I actually superimposed the key findings on. If you go to page, let me just get the correct page, apologies for that, on page 16, where I do a supplement, I labeled it as a supplementary analysis. I'm trying to superimpose the outcomes of that research with the initiatives that are already happening in the market, including the ZET LNG terminal in Richards Bay. And then further down there, I actually talk about the regulatory gaps that are existing in the current bill, which would require strategic interventions in terms of finalizing the bill and making sure that it addresses those gaps, including the issues of third-party access to LNG regas terminal, which is not regulated, currently not regulated, the regulation of regasification tariffs, and the clear TPA framework to govern entry into those facilities, because those issues are not covered in the current mandate. But I hear what the CEO was saying. I will try to lift that up and as part of the discussions or the policy recommendations. Thank you.
If you had a private Mr. Maluka, I had to mute you. Please, when you're in a meeting, everybody must just focus and concentrate. Thank you, Ms. Koza, and I hope Advocate Sithole that will deal with your proposal, and maybe also just in the background and the covering letter to the minister by the chairperson of the energy regulator. Maybe that can also be touched on as well, in as much as it's going to also be referenced to in this document, so that they can also have a look at that. But we did have a meeting on that report with the office that side, including people that are responsible for the gas master plan, because some of the things they found to be very useful. So we did have a meeting on that particular report. All right. Okay, thank you. All right. If there are no further questions, I would like to now go to the recommendations. The recommendations, I think there's one recommendation that I'm going to make subject to RSU agreeing to it. Firstly, let me take them one by one. To note the policy brief on strategic options for LNG importation and procurement. What is it? An importation for South Africa. That is the first one. Can we raise our hands in support of that one? Members, if you're in support of that first one, the noting of the policy brief. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support Mr. Majola. Thank you very much. We go to the second one. The second one is to note the supporting research report on the strategic assessment of LNG importation and procurement options for South Africa. That's the second one. Members, by show of hands. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mr. Majola. The third one that I want to add, Mr. Chokwe, which will then should come before 14.3, is that we recommend this report, the policy brief, as well as the research report, to the energy regulator for noting and to approve that it be submitted to the minister. That's the one that I'm suggesting, Mr. Chokwe.
Chairperson, I think due to its magnitude, this committee has the power to actually refer it to ER if the committee members are agreeable, Chairperson. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Members, maybe it will be safe if we do it like that so that it is ER, especially because the ER chairperson will be the one that is writing to the minister for this report. Are you in support, Advocate Sithole? And I see Mr. Majola's hand is up. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Both members are in support. I'm also in support. So that is the third recommendation. If you can capture that, Ms. Maswangani. And then the last recommendation is that and I think it takes care of the part that I have read. So it means that the subcommittee recommends to the energy regulator to note the policy brief as well as the research report on the assessment of the LNG importation to South Africa, the options, and also submit the report to the Department of Electricity and Energy. The members have already voted on this. So is that last part, it will be amended, Ms. Koza, if you can assist Ms. Maswanganye there to amend that one, the way that I've read out. With that, members, this is the last submission to deliberate in the open part of our meeting. I would like to now thank all the stakeholders that have tuned into our social media channels to follow the proceedings of this meeting. We thank you for taking interest in our matters and also being people that keep us on our toes in terms of doing the work that we are required to do. At this point in time, I would like to